Hi there and welcome to the 67 Hail channel. We are chatting after another big 3 points for Celtic, 1-0 against Motherwell. Who are these two unfamiliar faces? You may know their voices. Just say a wee word each, guys, and see if folk can work out where they know their voices from.
Paddy, how do they know us? Or how do they not know us?
Tino, I've no idea, mate, but we'll find out.
You are the Celtic Exchange for me, and I'd say this to every Celtic podcast, the greatest Celtic podcast out there, lads.
Thanks very much there, Hamish.
It's good to have you with us for this match reaction. Thoughts on the game overall? A big 3 points today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every game going into obviously this run up to the winter break is crucial for us. And obviously we're seeing at the moment, just with the amount of injuries that we're picking up, each game in the league is getting extremely harder.
Yeah, I'm just glad we're here talking about 3 points because it was nervy. You know, the guy next to me at the game 5 minutes in says, I'll take 1-0 a day. And I says, I agree with you, but you know, as you get into 80, 85, 87 minutes, it's a nervy time. But listen, 3 points is the be all and end all just now.
We've had a lot of games like that lately. I mean, Hearts was pretty nervy, similar to today actually. Yeah. Aberdeen was nervy. Even St Johnstone, the one at Celtic Park a couple of months ago, 2-0, but that was nervy. Is there concern there that we're not battering teams like we were at the start of the season, or are we just delighted to be getting 3 points when we have so many injuries?
Well, I would say, you know, on another day you don't get the 3 points the other day, so I think it's we're a depleted squad. I just think today, you know, specifically we just really lack creativity. I think Tom Rogic, he got the stadium man of the match, and rightfully so. That aside, there wasn't a great deal of creative stuff going on. Obviously we've got Turnbull up in the falsest of false nines. Yeah. McGregor kind of worked hard, but you know, from a creative point of view we had very little to go on. And listen, if you take Kyogo and Jota out of any side, you're going to get that. So, you know, we huffed and puffed, but at the end of the day we get the 3 points and we're still in the mix. Yeah,
we're obviously making sure that we are getting the job done. One of the things for me is, like I said, for this run that we're on at the moment, it's just continue this momentum, but we really are stretched, and you're starting to see that. And that's the worry for me. I just want to kind of keep chasing. Never mind what they're doing over the road. It's going to just be up to us just to keep winning. But we are just really getting stretched at the moment, so that's the only worry for me.
Yeah. Obviously going into today's game, missing Kyogo, missing Jota, missing numerous others as well. When you saw the team, did you expect it to be David Turnbull playing as the striker? Do you think it was a kind of false nine he was playing?
I think he was in the end. I actually made the call. I wrongly posted on Twitter that I thought it was going to be Rogic up top somewhere alongside Forrest and Abada, with Abada being the more central position. Right. And then right away, you know, the moment the game kicks on, you looked around and Turnbull was right up top, so it was clear from an early stage that was going to be the move. Right move or not, I don't know. We've got the 3 points, but Turnbull didn't have a great game, you know, and it's a tough one for him positionally, but he wasn't great, I don't think.
I think when you notice when Kyogo's not in the team, the way Kyogo stretches the game, Turnbull just doesn't have the pace or probably the energy to stretch the game. There was a couple of balls I think Greg Taylor had a couple he played over, and Turnbull just didn't get onto the end of them, and you're thinking if that's Kyogo, you know, he's getting in the end and he's making the defenders think about it.
Yeah, you're spot on, and I think even at one point the ball went out for a throw-in, and I just watched Turnbull just stand and wait for the ball boy to give him the ball, and I was just like, you're going for the win, you need to get that first goal, you'll be chasing it, the ball's right there, and I know that's a small thing I'm picking up on, but there just needs to be a bit more energy from him, in my opinion.
Moving on from that, I thought we started the game quite well in general. I thought there was a real tempo to our performance. We should have scored an early goal. James Forrest has that one, he somehow misses.
I'm still trying to work that one out. So
I thought the keeper had got a touch, but
I think he did.
I've not seen it in the replays, so the very fact that, you know, the referee's a lot closer than certainly I was, he's for some reason given the by kick, and I'm thinking James Forrest is 8 yards out there, so I really couldn't work out. I'd like to think the goalie saved it, because otherwise it's a bad miss.
There was a player up with him as well, maybe a Bada, and he could easily have squared it to him as well. I thought it was a huge chance.
It really was, and again, you know, it was probably the call for it going out for a goal kick, when for me it was clearly a corner, was just a one of many.
Do we want to just tackle the referee right now then?
Straight
we might as well get out of the
system. You're itching,
early.
Paddy, go for it.
I've not seen a refereeing performance like that in all my days at Celtic Park. Honestly, for every decision that he was making, just some of the times that he could have played advantage, he done it 2 or 3 times for Celtic. We were on a break, and then all of a sudden he just calls it back. Just a poor standard ref.
Did it for them as well in the second half. They had a free kick that they took quickly, and danger was on a little bit, and he pulled it back.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes the instant reaction is to say this guy is so against us. I wonder if there's just bad referees in our league, and I think some refs aren't great for Celtic, but some are just consistently bad either way. Hearts, they were over the top in their nonsense with Robbie Nielsen the other week, but they did have some genuine gripes where they could have got some decisions. I'm taking Kyogo's offside out the equation, but there was other stuff where I think there was just bad refereeing decision going on, and I think today was just another case of that.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you.
Graham Alexander wasn't happy. He got a booking as well, and he was still going nuts in the second half. But I just thought in general the ref just slowed the game down. The amount of free kicks. My pal I was at the game with, was saying, have you ever seen more free kicks in a game of football? And it played right into their hands because they were wanting to slow the game down at all stages, stop us taking quick free kicks, quick throw-ins, quick corners, and the referee for me was just allowing them getting away from it. Let them get away with it.
Yeah, this is what I'm seeing across the board at Celtic Park just now. So Celtic in full flow, full Ange ball, to quote the term, really, impressive and very, very hard to deal with. And if I was an opposition manager bringing my team to Celtic Park, I would say go down easy for fouls, break up the play, take your time with by kicks, and that's what everyone's doing, and that's fine as an opposition if that's your approach. The frustration is the referee also seems to be buying into it. Liam Kelly took a long time over some by kicks.
Yeah,
he was time wasting after about 2 minutes.
It's clever, but it's like, you're right, you want you understand why teams are doing that. They're trying to slow us down. We're not getting into a rhythm at all. Just understand these things, it's just going to happen in football.
They had a really good spell, Motherwell, in the game, after maybe 15 minutes to half an hour, when they were dominating us. I mean, there was a stage when they had 3 or 4 really good chances. I think Joe Hart makes an incredible double save. I think the flag was up anyway.
Yeah,
but
they've had the bar as well.
Similar to the one he had in Germany, the double save. It was just incredible.
Just makes himself big, doesn't he? I was quite critical of when we signed Hart. I thought it was a goalkeeper for me that just had probably maybe just had his best days behind him and just lack of confidence. But my God, there is obviously still wee elements of his game that I would like to just see just calm it down a wee bit, But other than that, that double save was brilliant. Just made himself, it was like Schmeichel-esque. Just made himself big and got down.
Casper or Peter.
Peter.
Paddy wants Barkas back in. He's
absolutely
never really got on board with it.
You're Barkas Mark, yeah, you love him.
No, not anymore. He broke my heart.
No, I mean, Hart had a couple of moments, the one in the second half. He loves that one where he takes a really bad touch and has to sprint across his goal line.
You just think it's going to roll in, don't you?
Yeah, I know. Time kind of goes still, but obviously we get the goal just before half time. Amazing celebrations, I thought, in the stadium. I don't know how you felt, but it felt like a huge goal at the time. I think people knew getting that goal at that time, just before half time, was huge.
Yeah, and I just think, we've spoken on our podcast about how important every single game is. Just now we've spoke about these 9 games in December, and Betis obviously was a bit of a different game, a bit of a dead rubber, but every single league game, so I think 7 league games, the League Cup final next Sunday, everything is just so important, and I think it's relief as much as anything that goes around the stadium, because the longer a game goes nothing each, you get so tense, you get so nervous, and you're thinking, if we drop points today, it's a real blow. So the moment Rogic tucks that away, I think it's relief as much as anything.
It's a great finish.
Really good finish.
It was just Ange football all over, a bit of creativity. I mean, I was looking at it thinking, is Turnbull going to try and fizz this into the near post, have a shot? But lovely cut back, and it's a brilliant finish, as you say.
We were talking on the way here tonight, we were actually talking about one of Tino's friends actually mentioned about Watch McGregor at the goal, just his organisation. So they knew they were going to try this set play, but just the different movings, different pointing here, different there. So you've got your Motherwell players thinking, what are they going to do? And it was just textbook. It was a great goal. Great goal.
Sorry to interrupt. It just shows again how important Tom Rogic has become. He's a guy who could have been off to Qatar or wherever, and he's pivotal to everything we're doing right now, and he's tucked that away beautifully.
He's almost, and I don't want to say this when Jota and Kyogo and even Callum McGregor are such big players, but he's almost turned into the guy you miss more than anyone else in terms of the way he links the midfield to attack. Just so strong. And another thing that I picked up on today, he's so fit as well now. I mean, the difference, Tom Rogic a couple of years ago, 60 minutes in, he's knackered. Today, 85, 86 minutes, he's still sprinting. He looks leaner than he ever has before. He looks stronger. I mean, he's always been quite strong, uses his body well. But
balance, see the amount of players that just bundle in.
The amount of times he gets the ball and he's got like 3 players within a metre and he comes away with the ball.
It's ridiculous. And actually, we were talking earlier on about the Hearts game and how stuffy it was, and how obviously he played the 90 minutes just back from injury. He actually, the last 20 minutes of that game, I thought he get better. Even though he was blowing out his hole, right? But he got so much, he just dug in, and it's great seeing him playing with a bit more of a purpose again. It really is. He feels wanted. He feels he's got the crowd back on his side again. Not that he ever fell away from the crowd, but he fell away from playing for a bit. And it's great to see it kind of be reunited again with Tom Rogic. It really is. It's
become such a cliche about how comfy he is taking it on the half turn, but he's always got a mind of, as a receiver, how quickly can I turn defence into attack, and he's just so skillful at doing that and getting his body in front of the defender as well, and just switching on the attack. He got man of the match today, and rightfully so. He was by far our most creative force, and even to cut back briefly to some refereeing stuff, he's taken the ball under pressure at one point in the first half, turned away from Mugabe, who absolutely wipes him out, and how that's not a card, it's unbelievable. And Anderson, the ref, does the cliched thing of, I'll have a word. And that's fine, have a word, but that now means Mugabe's still got a free hit at Rogic if he wants to have another go later on. And I just think that's where referees really need to step up, and it's catching us. But from Rogic's point of view, excellent again.
Yeah.
Were you worried second half at all? I feel like that's a second half we've seen so many times over the last couple of months. If you actually look at Motherwell, first half they had maybe 2 or 3 good chances. Second half, I don't think they had a shot, did they?
No.
Or a clear cut. Tony Watt had the one where he was offside and he put it wide, but it's probably the kind of game tomorrow, if we sat and watched it, you'd be quite comfortable thinking Celtic were comfortable. But while it's always 1-0, and when you keep missing chances like Celtic are doing, you're always going to have a nervy last 15 minutes.
Well, I think that's just going to be the rub of it for the rest of this month. I think that's what we're kind of going to be up against.
It can be more clinical though, can't we?
Oh, absolutely. But we're without our strikers today. I give it the benefit of the doubt, but I agree with you. I think that some of the chances that we are creating. I mean, Abada had that header as well, just right off the crossbar. I know he was offside, but you remember that one?
Was that no Starfelt?
Was it Starfelt? I
thought it was Starfelt. It was offside.
They do look quite similar.
Play the same kind of game as well.
Big blonde Starfelt.
Winger, centre back.
Got that wrong there.
I could be wrong. People will probably tell me that you're right, but I was sure it was Starfelt. But he was offside, but it came off the bar.
Just I think a bit more clinical. I actually thought we did try and push for the second at the start of the second half.
Yeah, we started really well.
Yeah, we did.
In fact, there was a move 10 seconds in. Rogic should have scored.
It deserved a goal. It did deserve a goal. There was a couple of where Rogic as well just blutered one over the bar. Calm themselves down a bit.
1-0 is just such a precarious scoreline in football, and as soon as the whistle goes, 1-0 is fine, but right up to the bumper, if you don't, Rogic had a couple of good chances. There was one where, in fact, it was after Ralston came on, he's fired it down the line, great ball to Juranovic, he's cut it back, you're just waiting for the net to burst. Exactly, it's going out for a throw. And for all the good stuff Rogic's done, he should have put the game to bed at that point, because that just allows you to relax and enjoy the 3 points. And as I say, until the whistle goes, 1-0 is such a nervy scoreline, and we got over the line, but it wasn't easy.
Attacking wise, anything you want to pick out, any players before we move to the defence?
Attacking wise, for me, I still think that we need to see a bit more for Turnbull. I think sometimes he's too static. Sometimes he gets caught up in between the two banks of four that Motherwell were providing, right? And he doesn't move, he doesn't create the angle. And a few times a day you've seen Greg Taylor looking for that option, and McGregor trying to come short for it as well as Turnbull, but Turnbull was still hiding behind these two players. He needs to move a bit more for me. For what our starting lineup was today, I actually thought the guys done okay in keeping the ball in their half, but there was a few points where we were under pressure.
I thought we did a really interesting point towards the very end of the first half. So Celtic were doing as they do now, playing it out from the back. It was going from Hart to Carter Vickers to Juranovic and different things. The crowd were getting really, really tense. So this before the goal, obviously, so really, really nervous. And I just think now we know this is how Ange plays. This is the system. So I think we as fans have got a role to play. I think you've got to, those nerves transmit to the players. And I think it's hard to do, but I think we need to stay calm to allow the players to stay calm. But one thing I do know that I think Callum McGregor is really good at linking that play up, and he often comes with his back to goal, faces Joe Hart and pops it to left back or to right back and does that really well. And during that period of play, so it must have been about 42, 43 minutes, I looked to see where McGregor was, because Beaton was doing that role, and I looked up and McGregor was in the number 9. He was the
commented on that at the time,
top man, and I just couldn't understand if it was a deliberate ploy where Ange had said, listen, Turnbull, you drop in for a spell. I can't work out, and I still can't work out, but Callum McGregor was on number 9 for a spell, which was a bit puzzling.
Definitely did happen. You're not imagining things. He definitely did go up top. You talk about the fans. I mean, Brendan Rodgers, remember when he first came into the club, he actually publicly, called on the support. I think it was after an Astana game, called on the support to show a little bit more patience. Be interested to see if Ange feels the same way, because I agree. I thought overall today that the support, it was a strange kind of atmosphere. I don't want to say it was toxic or poisonous, but it was quite like they were quite hard on the team 5 minutes in. I think Greg Taylor had a misplaced pass after about 5 minutes. and there was already kind of moans of discontent, and I just felt, I don't know if it was down to the fact there was no singing in the standing section, whether people were just in a bad mood, or maybe Rangers winning earlier put the pressure on, or people are just feeling nervous, but I thought it was strange today.
I think the nerves thing is huge for us, and we touched on it before we come on, Hamish. That's 4 games in a row now, we're playing catch up, we're 7 points behind when we get into the games. That's sits on the fans' heads. I totally agree. I think there should be a bit more patience. Certainly, some players, like the heads go down. And
Mikey Johnson's the obvious one. I mean, the guy behind me made the point. You've got a winger there who is a confidence player. He needs to have confidence to try things. And I felt like the minute he gets the ball, you can almost hear everyone going, "Oh."
Yeah. You're right. It's almost like they groan the moment he gets it. And I think Taylor's in that category as well. I think to make it at Celtic Football Club, to be a Celtic player, you have to have talent. Everyone who represents Celtic and who takes to the park is a talented player, but confidence is a huge part of football, and I think Mikey Johnson is right in that bracket. I'm a huge fan, and I'll not bore you with how much a fan, but I think he's such a talent, and I just think he needs a bit of belief in himself, but I think he needs the fans to believe in him too. And I think Greg Taylor as well. Greg Taylor's maybe fairly limited as a player, but we're there as supporters. We need to support.
Yeah.
He's going through a bit of a James Forrest phase with the support, Mikey Johnson. Forrest had that, a decade ago when you felt as if every time he got the ball, the fans were almost thinking, what are you going to do here? Not expecting much. And there was one today when Johnson actually cut back. There was nothing on for him, and he cut back and played it into, I think, Taylor or Starfelt, and everyone kind of groaned. And again, you're thinking, what would you rather he did? Would you rather he, try to beat the man and probably give it away? It's just
exactly.
I don't mean to criticise Celtic fans, because we're fans.
Absolutely.
But I just think overall, I've done videos in the past and people have commented saying, you're too negative there, you got that one wrong. I just think calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's just patience. It is patience. We all know. I'd say we actually are kind of up against it at the moment, guys. Just with the injuries, the way they went for us, and we just have to be patient with the players that are going out there. And I actually think when you look at it, that's 13 unbeaten in the league now. That's a great run. Aye. Wow. That's a great run. And I think we've won 12 of them.
Yeah, and Livingston could have beat them.
Aye. So, we've got to remember we're doing well, and we've still got a slim squad.
I do think into the bargain, it's maybe remiss not to discuss the fact that through Celtic's own actions, we've still not addressed the Bernard Higgins situation. So today was the second game in a row where the North Curve, the Green Brigade, the standing section have decided, which they're absolutely right to do, to not sing during the game. I kind of support that to a huge extent. If they want to make themselves heard, then that's how they protest. That's absolutely fine. Around about 70 minutes, 75 minutes, other pockets of the stadium close to them have said words to the effect of, you can stick your silent protest where you want to. And all of a sudden, through Celtic's actions, the fans are divided.
And you don't want that. No.
Surely now, when we've got a manager we believe in, we've got a squad of talented players, and we're putting up a genuine title challenge here, this is a time we need Celtic United. And I think the actions of the club, I think it's horrendous that they have not come out and addressed this, one way or another, because the longer this goes on, the more divisive it becomes, and we cannot afford a divisive fan base at this moment in time.
I agree totally. I can't disagree with that at all.
Celtic United, the new splinter team.
FC United of Manchester.
They need to address this though. Next Sunday, our fans going to be singing? Are we going to have a weird atmosphere for what should be a glorious afternoon? And I hope it is. The club need to sort this. My issue is Celtic in general, the directors anyway, are stubborn people.
Absolutely.
And to their credit or whatever, I'd say some of the ultras probably are as well. So you need to get round a table, on a Zoom call, whatever, and at least show the fans, the ultras group, Celtic Trust, the boys, etc., the respect they deserve, and we need to sort this issue.
The only way to resolve any sort of conflict is to get adults speaking in a room. And I think at this moment in time, Celtic have just put up the shutters and says, we're not responding to this. The line or the narrative coming out from the North Curve at this moment in time is one phone call resolves this, allows us to move on. And just Celtic as a club reaching out to the fan base, whether that's through John Paul Taylor as the liaison or whatever, but you just need to get some adults in a room or on a Zoom call to say, this is where we are, this is the position just now, can we work out a compromise to move forward? Because as you say, next Sunday is so important. It's a chance for Ange to win his first trophy, to galvanise the team and to get us hopefully on a path to further success, and we seem to be shooting ourselves in the foot time after time.
Wouldn't be like us, would it? Celtic shooting themselves in the foot.
Not at all.
Will we move on defensive wise now? I thought he had a couple of dodgy clearances in the first half, CCV, that he put right up into the air, but I thought as that game went on, he was immense in the last 20-25 minutes.
He's just an absolute bear, isn't he? See the one boys basically the boys try to get round him, and he's just like, no, you're not getting past me, and he just takes it and still runs away with it. Do you know what? Sign him up straight away. I don't care if it was 10 million. You've got a good centre half there, and
well, that's the chat whether it's 10 or 6 million.
You lads are quite well off at the podcast. You just
the Celtic Exchange is going extremely well, Hamish. But I mean, would you pay 6 to 10 million for him?
Happily.
Yeah, really.
Happily.
It's a lot of dough.
It's a lot of dough, but we've got to kind of look at what we paid on Julian, which was around about the 7.5, 8 million mark, you know, and we've got to look at, we're probably going to have to start spending a bit more money on players. The way the market is now, I don't think 6 to 10 million is a lot of money for a club like Celtic anymore. I think we've kind of got to start saying he's a ready-made centre-half.
Guaranteed success.
Yeah. Instead of bringing in someone we'll see how he goes.
I know.
We can't do that all the time.
You know what you're getting from him, that's exactly.
And especially if we win the league.
Okay.
If we win the league and we get this automatic spot for the Champions League, it's a no-brainer for me.
The thing I love about him is, and this might be famous last words, but he doesn't really have a mistake in him. We've had so many centre-backs over the years that have been decent players. Boyata, Simunovic, there's others as well, but you've always felt...
Daniel Mistorovic.
That's going a wee bit further back, but definitely you always felt there was like a dodgy back pass in them, or some... Carter Vickers, everything he does is so assured. Every pass that he plays is, fired at players, but in a good way. It's crisp. Starfelt, actually, one thing he probably has to work on is a wee bit more of that, but I thought he had a good game as well today.
I think he was decent. Just to stay on Carter Vickers briefly, I think the reason you've got a good centre half is he doesn't make headlines. He doesn't. You don't groan in the way you do with Boyata and guys like that. He's just come in and very seamlessly fitted in. I mean, I think he arrived on, whenever the very end of the transfer window, he started the very next game.
Literally about 9 minutes before midnight, remember? By the way, just on a side point, can you imagine we hadn't signed him?
No.
I mean, because we've obviously had our injuries to Welsh and different things, that would have been, you'd have possibly been going with Dane Murray alongside Starfelt at times, and I think Dane Murray's a real talent, by the way, and I think he'll come good. But it would have been so unfair to throw him into the hotbed of this season. So it's a real blessing that we managed to get him. And I think just the fact that he started that very first game, and save for the game he missed recently for personal reasons, he is an ever-present, and he's such a calm and steady influence throughout that backline.
Kind of reminds me a wee bit just of, see that calming influence you're talking about, and just that composed centre half. I love big Kelvin Wilson for that as well. I thought he was just, every game he just took it on his stride, and I just think, in his stride. And I think you're getting the same with Carter Vickers here. He's comfortable. Doesn't matter who he's playing alongside as well. And also, it's working out well for us at the fact that he spent last year training with Joe Hart too. That's a big thing with
there's a real connection there. Yeah. It's the same as you, Paddy. You come into our podcast and just steadied things down, very, very calm and possession, and made a big difference.
I had to calm Miff down somehow.
Yeah. Somebody needs to.
These are doing well, lads. I'm enjoying
Thanks very much.
Any final comments on today then? Just same old 3 points, a big 3 points, and we move on?
I think so, really. I mean, as I say, we were chatting after the game just about how I actually, in my head, around about 85th minute, I just had a wee vision. I thought how horrible I would feel if we dropped points today, and just the groan that would have gone round and the negativity. So the be all and end all absolutely is getting across the line, and I suppose the next stage is getting at the next game. The suggestion is that Kyogo's not as bad as we feared, and I think we just miss him so much, and it's probably the most obvious thing to say, but that energy he provides, I mean, even just in terms of closing down goalkeepers and closing down fullbacks, because that transmits through the rest of the team. So Turnbull doesn't bring that. He's a talented boy, no doubt, but he's not that kind of guy who really pushes and probes on the last man. And the sooner we can get him back, and Jota's obviously maybe a few weeks further back, but it's a case of just trying to get over the line game by game. So what are we now, 4 games into December, 5 games still to go? I think let's just take it game by game, but today is so important.
The latest in Kyogo, by the way, sent in by the Ange correspondent John McGinley, as we know from
I know him well. He owes me a pint, I think.
We'll see how he goes. It's not a significant one. Albion Ajeti is definitely more significant. With Kyogo, we'll play it day by day and see how he recovers. It's not a long-term one. We'll just wait and see how he recovers over the week and make a decision on that.
Well, that's great news. Great news to hear. Obviously, we've got the cup final, but most importantly, we've got the 2nd of January coming up, which is a big game for us, and you want him fit, you want him ready for that. For me, after today, I agree with you, Hamish. I think just a bit more clinical, but for what where the squad's at now, how it's kind of depleted, Great result today. Great result. And but what I actually noticed, one thing, when they done their lap of honour, their body language for me today said that we knew that was a slug, because they didn't play well today.
Yeah.
And you could just read that from them. They know that it's just game by game at the moment.
There's also a winning mentality. We spoke last season. We started our podcast about a year ago, Hamish, during a horrendous time for Celtic, out with the quadruple treble, and it was a slog. And winning becomes a habit in the same way that losing becomes a habit. And at the moment, Paddy, I didn't realise the stat was 13 games unbeaten. Winning is a habit. So yeah, we didn't play great today, but we're winning games of football, and that's the most important thing at any stage. We know on the range we're going to at different times, but we're certainly going to improve. We're going to get better. Hopefully we'll add these guys in January, and we'll see more of the Ange ball that we've kind of enjoyed at different times. But in the meantime, let's just win games of football and see what that takes us.
Brilliant. We'll leave it there, unless you've got anything else you want to say.
I totally agree with both of you.
You are the guys from the Celtic Exchange. There may be some people watching this, some people out there who haven't heard of you for whatever reason, so I'll give you about...
What is wrong with those people, Hamish?
I can't criticise our wonderful fans, but 20 seconds or so to just sell yourself,
Yeah, just what Hamish and the guys do. Yeah, the Celtic Exchange is guys like myself, Paddy. There's 4 others or 6 of us in total, and we very genuinely do this for for the love of Celtic. In a cliched way, we'd be doing it anyway over a couple of beers and different things, so we just happen to record what we do now. So it's been an interesting 12 months. As I say, we started the very day that we won the quadruple treble, but now there's so much more to look forward to under Ange, and it's been a really decent time.
Yeah, absolutely. Second that as well. It's been a great journey, being able to do this, and it's just great being able to talk about your team with people, like-minded people, and what you guys are doing as well is absolutely brilliant, Hamish. So keep up with it, man.
Appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you coming on. I'll link your podcast feed in the description so people can find you, and genuinely I would say this if we weren't here, a great podcast, really balanced debate when you guys are on, at least.
Very kind. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Give us a sub, let us know in the comments what you thought. I'm sure you'll agree and disagree with some comments, and we're back tomorrow.